Good afternoon. I'm gonna call this Queen coined it. What Nick takes on your lunch break. So, you know, welcome to Knicks and Bruises. I got Sim in the building. I got the Queen in the building. Your blackest time. We got to sleep on that loss, and digest it a little bit.
Yep.
So I'll start right off with just this last game. What do you think happened? What went wrong? What went wrong?
I mean, honestly, for me, I feel like Miami's the better team. I really think that's where it is. I think Miami's the better team. I think the lights are a little bit too bright for this Knicks team. You know, I, that's kind of where I am with it right now. I think Miami's just better.
Yeah.
And and I'll get to you 1 second, Queen.
Mhm.
When you say better, are you saying like the more talented team better, or does it have to do with um more experience? You know what I mean? Because I think that has a lot to do with it. Um, so is it like the talent as far as like the abilities, player for player, more talented players, or do you think it's more of their experience?
I mean, I think it's more. I think it's their ability to use their players for the talent that they have.
Mm,
Um, I think they do that better than the Knicks do. Of course,
you
that
sound
comes from
that
coach,
sound like coaching.
comes down to coaching. I also think it the experience of the players, having so many players that have been there before, and so they understand how to handle, uh, the just to handle the moment, because you can't. That's one factor that you can't account for when you enter the playoffs or you enter anything really. You can't account for what your body is going to do in certain moments and how you're going to react. The only thing you can do is once you figure out what your body is doing, okay, what's my response? You know what I'm saying? And your response may not do anything until you actually get used to your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? And then, you get a little bit more comfortable with it. The problem with the playoffs is you don't have a lot of time for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Then if you have a team that's consistently coming at you and pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding, you may not be able to get that done in one series. And so I think the Knicks, uh, are struggling with that right now. But that's why I think they're better. One, they use their parts better. They have the experience and they've been there. You know what I mean? And because they have the experience and they've been there, they're better at doing the little things in this series than the Knicks are because they understand the importance of all of each one of those little things that has to be done. They understand the importance of it. You know what I mean? And that's why I think they're beating the Knicks and why I don't think the Knicks are, I think they're better.
Queen.
Yeah, Sam, I don't know if I could have said it any better. I think the Miami is better on so many levels. I think a lot of the advantages the Knicks have, a lot of the things that the Knicks want to do, I don't think coming in just going over the stats from regular season, I don't really think we had that advantage coming in on Miami. Like we like to get second chance points. They were third in the league in limiting teams to second chance points. And Cleveland was similar, but okay, Knicks, this is what you want to do. We don't allow that. And the Knicks were able to do it anyway, not with this Miami team. And, to your point, Sam, part of it is the experience, the toughness,
Mhm.
the ability to do the small things, execute the game plan. And I think, you could talk about being more talented on paper. You could talk about skill sets. You could talk about those sorts of things. But are you, when the lights are the brightest, are you able to, whatever your skill set is, deliver in the playoffs? And Miami's been able to do that. You look at Strauss, you look at Vincent, you look at even Lowry, who I don't even know how many games he played. He was so injured this season. they're getting the most out of what they have in this series. And for our guys, like, and we talked about this, Tony, I think you brought it up. We're not even getting what we got in the playoffs. Forget stepping it up. We're
In
not
the
even
regular season.
we got, excuse me, in the regular season. Miami is just better on so many levels. Last night, getting 2 and they look like the Knicks.
They
In
look
terms
like us.
of
Yeah.
offensive rebounds, possessions they were able to get. Now, maybe the Knicks were tired. We were playing essentially a 7-man rotation. So, maybe they were tired, but I just felt like every loose ball, they was just quicker
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
The ball was right there. We couldn't grab it. We had it in our hands. They just put a fingernail on us and the ball come flying out.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well,
I just think I don't know. They were just better.
well, let me shout out the chat. Almighty Finesse King Sipes. Sing, um but to me, I feel like that's where the game went wrong for us. This particular game, I'm only referring to, not the series. I feel like it was effort. You know what I mean? And maybe you could point that throughout the whole series. But I feel like those 50-50 balls, that's effort. You just said it. The ball was right there numerous times. You know what I mean? Sometimes we even made the effort on a tap out, but we tap it right to them. You know what I mean? So it's just you had the effort on some plays and then it goes the wrong way, but some plays it just wasn't enough effort. I seen the ball get knocked out of Randall's hand with on a potential rebound. RJ Barrett's hand and Mitchell Robinson's hand numerous times with opportunities, the ball right there.
Mhm.
Like, to me, that's effort more than anything else. And this is gonna lead right into Randall's comments of they wanted it more. And I've been going through my rounds listening to all the outlets talking about and Sim, you called it last night when we was talking off air. You said, this is gonna be a big thing tomorrow.
Mhm.
And sure enough, that's what everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Randall came out and said
Yeah.
it felt like they wanted it more.
Right.
Maybe they wanted it more, he
I
said.
mean, I feel like those like what you're talking about, that effort is part of not being able to stand up to the moment
Right.
because you don't know what kind of effort is needed
Hmm.
Right.
until it's being done to you. Then all of a sudden you're like, damn, this is the kind of effort that's needed. Like,
Right.
this is really how hard it is to get to where we want to go. And you may not realize it all in one series. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, you can realize it in the series. It doesn't mean that you can actually execute it because, like Tom Thibodeau always talks about, it comes down to your habits. You know what I mean? It comes down to your habits. So you have to, now you get into next season, and you're like, you understand the effort that's needed to get
Hmm.
past. All right, maybe you understood better what was needed to get past the first round. Now you understand what it takes to get past the second round. So you start building those habits,
Right.
that you're going to be able to employ when you get into the playoffs. You know,
And and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But another thing that again I heard today, but I've been hearing this throughout the season. I've brought it up a couple of times, but because I heard it again today, these a lot of people say Tibbs has these guys playing peak level all season, and they don't have another level when they get to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like they're putting this maximum effort and all. It's hard to explain what I'm trying to say. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? But I've heard it from numerous different people, from players, former players, um, analysts. You know what I mean? Like who you say everybody has said this, different aspects of the media. You know what I mean? So it's just it's intriguing to me.
I mean,
What's the alternative, though?
right?
I mean, I agree.
Oh,
I mean, what's the alternative? Yeah.
yeah, it's hard for me to buy into it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they just don't have enough to step up their level. I mean, they got past the first round. They've made
Mhm.
progress, right?
Absolutely.
The first year they were in the playoffs, they didn't get past. They got beat 3-1. This year they got past that. Hopefully they can take another step next year, and we'll see what happens with the rest of this season. But maybe they can take another step next year. I don't buy into that. Now, if you want to say, you know, because I believe Tom Thibodeau's being out coached by Spo, that Tom Thibodeau doesn't have enough, doesn't put enough in the tool bag, then I can agree with that. Because when I look at Spo, you know, I know people will say, well, he's doing a lot of, he's doing great adjustments in game. I don't believe it's all in game
In
adjustments.
game.
I believe that it's when I'm preparing for this game, I have 4 or 5 different options on
Mhm.
offense, on defense. I have different schemes that I've already mapped out how I'm going to do it. Now, when I get in the game, I can say, I need this one right now. I need that one right now. You know what I mean? And so he can pull that out. And the players know what these options are and know how to execute these options. So I believe it's more of that with Spo than, I'm in the game and I see this happening. So I can all of a sudden write down this exact play that's gonna do this. I don't
Mhm.
think it's like that. You know what I mean?
I call it
Beforehand.
NBA audibles.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think you have those things prepared beforehand, you know, so that when you get into the game, you can, what to our eyes would look like on the ball, on the spot adjustments, you know what I'm saying? But you can get into the game and make these adjustments because you have it written out. You look at your paper and say, oh, I'm gonna pull this one out right now.
Right. I agree with Sam. I think those are valid points. I just don't think it would have made a difference in this series. And I don't think it means that he should not have done it. I
Mhm.
just think when you have players missing in action,
Yeah.
but I get it. You still want to go out as a coach and put those things in place so it's apparent
Mm.
Right.
they've been missing in action. So I agree with you. I do think is valid, but I just think I'm not sure how much of a difference it would have made. I don't
Yeah.
think we're getting the offensive rebounding advantage that we usually get. We're not shooting the ball well. We seem to be like a deer in headlight in terms of 50-50 balls and things like that. So I agree with you. Those are valid points. Tom Thibodeau can do those things. But honestly, in the bigger view of things, I'm not sure. I don't think it would have made a difference. I just think Miami is better. I don't think
Mm.
a change in rotation would have made a difference. I don't think a change in scheme
Mm.
would have made a difference. You're not hitting shots, and the Knicks are getting shots against Miami.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think that's the issue. They're just not
I
converting.
mean,
But those the
this
points are valid in terms of Tom.
last game, that what the issue was, the things that we are usually good at. They beat us at offensive rebounds, second chance points, um, turnovers, or excuse me, points off turnovers. They dominated those three categories, and those are our staples. So I've been calling this a mirror match all season, or I mean all series, but they we haven't played up to ourselves. You know what I mean? Our own abilities, and they've played.
And how much of that is us, and how much of that is Miami?
right.
I mean, oh, that's a great question. I mean, you guys think they're the better team. I think it was more coaching. I think it was if when I say I don't think they're the more talented team. I think they're definitely like the more experienced team, and that had a lot to do with us losing and them winning.
I think they're a better team, Tone. I mean, again, Sims' point with Coach Tibbs is the valid points. I just think they're a better team. I
I
mean,
mean, I do too.
you
I
you
No, no, I'm not here to debate it. I'm just
yeah,
saying, you know what I mean?
yeah.
That you guys have your viewpoint. I think we're a more talented roster. I don't. I think they're
What does
more
that mean?
experienced.
We're talking
I
about a
mean,
team. We're not talking about
huh?
individual players. So you could
I'm
say,
saying
okay, individually we got better players, but what does that mean? It's about when you
uh,
put those players together as a team, functioning as a team, who's better?
right.
listen, they're beating us. They winning. So I'm not arguing. They do have a they. I can't say we're better and we didn't win. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying our roster is better. Or the talent on our players are better. They just have to get the experience and the knowledge and you know what I mean, grow from this to get to their peak. They're older, you know what I mean? Like even all the undrafted players, those guys are like 4-year college players, right? You know what I mean? So they had that experience. You know what I mean? It's not like our guys who are um one and done's 2-year players for the most part and are still growing as basketball players in general. But
I
that's
got
neither here nor there. I was just pointing
I
out
get you. No, no,
I you know what I mean,
I get you.
I have a different viewpoint of
Right.
the talent on this roster compared to the talent on that roster.
I get what you're saying, and I think that's something in the offseason the Knicks front office is going to have to ask themselves: do we have talented players that just need a bit more seasoning, just need a bit more growth, or do we need more seasoned players right now? You know what I mean? And I think that's what they're going to have to
And
look
that's a
at in offseason.
crossroads. Yeah, that's a big crossroads that they're gonna have to cross.
Mhm,
You
I
know,
mean,
and where they go with this. I mean, because I believe the Knicks have a talented roster. They have good young players. They have a good thing happening.
mhm.
How fast do they, do they want to wait and see if this where this roster
mhm.
plateaus, or do they say we got to go try to get it now?
And
Where the front office goes with that.
it's a perfect transition because that's kind of where I was leading into as far as I mean let's cut to the chase with Stephen A. Smith. You know, he came out, he's ready to trade Julius Randle. Series ain't even over yet. You know what I mean? Like this is what I was talking about last night when I'm like, yo, I want to keep my composure. Let's see how it ends. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that like we have a chance to still win, but I want to see the way they go out. You know what I mean? Especially with Randall putting these comments out. Maybe they wanted it more than us. Sim, you've mentioned
I would
in
have just
the
kept that to myself. But
I
anyway,
mean, it could be. I think you said it off air, but it could be him trying to rally his team. Like, yo, we're like we gotta fight harder. And stating the obvious.
When when
Um,
when you I'm sorry, Tony, but when you listen to the clip,
mhm,
mm,
I
and
mean,
I haven't heard it. In all
I,
fairness, I haven't heard it.
yeah, when you listen to the clip, they ask him, Miami seems to be doing to you all what you've done all season long, right? And he's kind of thinking about what to say and uh, you know, looking at stats and things like that. And then he says, I don't know, maybe they wanted it more than us, right? He said, I don't know, maybe they wanted it more than us. Uh, that's he said, that's who we've been all year. And we got to find a way to step up and make those plays if we want to keep the season alive. But of course, everyone just takes maybe they wanted it
Other
more
piece,
than us.
right,
But they
right,
didn't
yeah,
take the other part where he says, we've got to figure out how to step up and do those things.
and
You know what I'm saying? And so
right.
I think it's really, really overblown. I don't even know if he was trying to, uh, maybe he
incite
tried
his team,
it,
whatever.
I don't know if he was trying to incite his team. Maybe he was, or maybe he's trying to figure it out. It's just happening in real time, trying to
Right.
figure out even within himself, like maybe they want it more than me too. You know what
And
I'm saying? And
that's
we
where I
up and do this if we want to win. This is where I'm like I feel like people are overblowing it.
They
Right.
are 100%. That you just said it. He said more than us. He didn't say maybe they out. You know what I mean? The more than the rest of the team. You know what I mean? Like he was on the court. This wasn't after game one, and he said, "Oh, maybe they wanted it more than us." But guess what? After game one, it felt like Miami wanted it more than us. In game two, when we won, when Butler was out and we had to struggle to win, it felt like they wanted it more than us. Like he's stating the obvious in the series and after this
Mhm,
game.
mhm,
And it wasn't like he threw his teammate under the bus. He said us, which included himself. Like the only more he could have said was individualized it and said, I have to play better. I have to do this, which great. If he said it, that would have been better. But guess what? That still would have not been included in the soundbite. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you got this clown Carlson talk about, oh, Tibbs should bench him game 5 because of that comment. You know what I mean? Like the New York media sometimes be crazy. But I'm like, you know what? Cool. For content, let's play the game. The Knicks should trade Randall, right? We talked about it last night. Sim, like, would you do it? Why? Like, why? Is only a select few players in the league that are even warranted for us to trade Randall for. You know what I mean? But if you want to play the game, let's play the game. I know a lot of Knicks fans out there want to trade Randall anyway, right? You know what I mean? So it's not like it's just the media. Who would you trade Randall for at this point in time? And since we started with Stephen A, he said he would do it for Cat right now, and so I guess let's start there.
I mean,
Go ahead, Sim.
I mean, if you trade for Cat, are you, Cat's a good player. Are you getting better? That's my whole thing. Are you getting better as a basketball team? If you think you're getting better as a basketball team, like leaps and bounds, steps ahead, then of course I trade Julius Randle. I trade anybody for anybody if I think the team is going to be taking leaps and bounds and taking steps, like taking serious steps, not just, oh, yeah, we've won 1 or 2 more games, you know what I'm saying, but still eliminated in the second round. I mean, serious steps to Eastern Conference Finals contention or Finals contention. You know what I'm saying?
I,
Well, let me ask you. Well, so you sound like you putting it on the organization, but I'm asking you, would you do it? And does that or you ask yourself that question? Does that make us a better team? Is that a better? Is he a? I know, Quinn, you hate this. Is he a better fit? You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I don't know. I really have to look at it, figure out what it is that he would be bringing that Randall's not bringing. Does he bring more rebounding? Is it more blocks? Is it better outside shooting? Does he bring the toughness that Randall brings? Like all of those things, and you have to look at your team and figure out, where does it fit? I don't know if I can answer just right here. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's someone like Giannis, yeah, I can answer right there. Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? Because he's gonna do what Randall does and more, I think. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure about Cat.
right. I will say this. I'm not as dug in on Randall as I was before the series.
Mhm.
I gotta say that I don't think his performance, all of it is about the ankle. I just don't. I don't think so. And you can't have your best players not showing up.
I
That's
agree.
it. And listen, even in the Atlanta series, I don't think it was all on Randall either, right? They were able to load up on him because of, they didn't have other guys. But some of it was on him, right? Because
Mhm.
you've seen series where guys would play well and you'd be like, okay, this guy played well. They just weren't able to get over the hump because of the rest of the team. I don't think we could say that about Randall in both series. So I would have to look at Cat. I want to, how did Cat do in the playoffs this series? Because he's a talented guy. And, Draymond said something that I'm starting to think about. You got the regular season guys and
There
you
you go.
got the playoff guys.
You do.
And Randall might be a regular season guy. Now it's still being written. It's still being, it's the narrative is still being written, but he's looking like a regular season guy.
Mhm.
You,
Now,
And,
you,
and,
I don't know
you
what
know,
much about, but I don't know as much about Cat to say that he's not a regular season guy. He's a playoff guy. I didn't watch Minnesota in the playoffs. I didn't see, what Cat did. I just know he's a really talented guy. And
and this is where Steph, because I think you're right. Like Julius Randle played terrible this series. In the in the versus the Cavs, I think people gave him a little bit of a pass because he was coming back from his ankle, right?
Right.
I didn't feel like it mattered to me to be out there on the floor.
Hardcore.
Right? That's just where I felt like
Mhm,
if
mhm.
you're not good enough to play, don't play. That's where I felt with it. You know what I mean? So I didn't really want to give him a pass. That he didn't play well, but a lot of people did give him a pass. He gets into this round and he doesn't even look like he looks scared to me, right? In a lot of possessions. I asked Tony the other day, do you think he's scared? Do you think he's scared of this team? You know what I mean? He looks scared to me. Um, so he's definitely hasn't proven to be a playoff guy. But I still think Julius Randle, I mean, I think we all have believed. I mean, we're still watching to see where does he go, what he can do. But I think we've all believed that you need someone better than Julius Randle on this team,
Right,
better than
right,
him and Brunson. You know what I'm saying? Or at least even with Brunson, I think we've all kind of agreed that you need someone better than that. So
right.
that Randle doesn't have to deal with that pressure. He can be, he can be a 18 and 10 power forward that can sometimes fill in and do other things. You know what I mean? I was looking to see this year what does he do in the playoffs,
Me too.
you know? And obviously we see what he's doing. And the only thing that I can say though is it's his second year in the playoffs. Will he get better in the playoffs? Will he learn
Right,
how to do it in the playoffs?
right.
I don't know. You don't
You got
know until it grows. Yeah, I talked about Jimmy
you guys
Butler.
hold on, because you
Huh?
you guys are killing my transitions right now, yo. Like,
I know.
uh,
Hold
but
on.
go
I
ahead, because I know you about to go into what we
I
talked about.
talked about Jimmy Butler. You talk about Minnesota. When he was in Minnesota in the playoffs, he averaged 13 points per game. In his playoffs, his playoff appearance in Minnesota, or 14 points or 15 points or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, his first year in Miami, I think he was 22. The next year, he averaged 15. He's had some up and down times in the playoffs as well. His first
Right,
2 years in the playoffs, he wasn't a star player. He averaged 13 points per game. He was younger, much younger. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it does take learning what it takes.
right.
You know what I mean? I'm not
That's
saying that you have to wait for him, but I still think that Julius Randle can be a piece to this team, but you need a better piece.
right.
You
That
know,
wasn't the question though, but I agree, Sim.
question,
I
right?
agree. I
Right.
think he could be a number 3,
Yeah, I'm not depending
on
on
the team. Yeah.
I'm not
I
depending on him to
You
take you
can't.
there.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
I just don't think. And listen,
He's too
coming
all
into
over
the
the place.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sam, go ahead.
No, I was just saying he's too all over the place. You don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and to your point, coming into this series, I wanted to see both Brunson and Randall and the rest of the team. I just wanted to get a sense of who do we got? Who can perform under these bright lights and who might need more time. Like I'm not saying we need to get rid of guys. They may, to Sim's point, they may need more time. Embiid, it took him some time. Um, Paul George, it took him, some time as well. So it does take time. I just think the Knicks are on the fast track. We'll see over the summer.
Yeah. That's all.
Guys,
Didn't mean to
you got
ruin
you
all
guys you guys just killed
stuff.
my whole two transitions. Like,
It happens to me all the time. It happens all the time.
oh, geez, like, oh, but so I mean, I'm still conflicted on where you guys stand. I mean, I know the obviously, yeah. If we could get Giannis, we're gonna trade Randall. If we could get Embiid, we're gonna trade Randall. Um, and
I'll tell you
Queen,
this.
you're saying, on one hand, you're not sure if he's a playoff performer. You know what I mean? Which,
Yeah,
again, as Sim just stated, sometimes it takes
sometimes it
times to
does.
figure that out. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? The
Right.
great ones,
Sometimes. No, you're
but
right.
and even the ones that are great from jump, they regress down the line. We see what Donovan Mitchell was in his first couple of playoffs, and we seen how he matched up against Brunson in 2 consecutive years. You know what I mean? So it's not cut and dry It's not and Donovan Mitchell being a prime guy that a lot of us wanted,
And
obviously,
still do.
and still do. You know what I mean? So that all being said, you know what I mean? Like, it's not cut and dry. He,
It's not
has he performed in the playoffs? Absolutely not. He's
Cool.
dropped down. Randall, you
Right.
know what I mean? He went from 25. He's averaging 15 this year in the
Mm.
playoffs. That's 10. That's
Mhm.
10 plus
Points.
points minus. You know what I mean? So
I would say that
you can't argue against the facts,
right.
but to say it's set in stone, I think is premature.
No, I don't think anybody is saying that it's set in
I mean,
stone.
they out there.
But this is what I will say though. If we can come across somebody who is just as talented as Randall, maybe not even better, but just as talented or on that cups and who has performed in the playoffs, I think I'm making that trade. See, prior to this, it was like it would need to be somebody clearly better than Randall. Now I'm saying, listen, if they on the level with Randall and they've performed in the playoffs, I think I'm gonna have to consider.
I'm gonna give you my name that I would do it for. Siakam. I do it. I think he gives you the defensive versatility to improve the team in that aspect immediately. I think he has the ability to give you at a minimum 16 points, you know what I mean? But the ability to elevate offensively and dominate at times just because of his he's a mismatch, you know what I mean? Like, at his size, what he can do, he's not a great ball handler, but he's kind of like mini Giannis on a fast break, you know what I mean? Like, covers ground quickly. So he's a guy that I would do it. I
How's
think
he
they
been in
have
the
some,
playoffs though?
huh? I mean,
He's been deep.
he hasn't disappeared, you know
I
what I
mean,
mean? Like,
his
and,
first
and
season in the playoffs, Pascal, 6 points, but he wasn't playing much.
Right.
Then the next
his
year,
roles fluctuated too.
2018-19, he averaged 19 and 5. And
Mm-hmm.
then next year, 17 and 7. I'm sorry, 19 and 7, and then 17 and 7. Then in 21-22, he was 23 and 5, 23 and 6.
And
Like
that
that.
was the role of him being the guy that 23 and the last one. You know what I mean? His role has fluctuated
Right.
as as time has progressed.
Right.
So he's a guy that I would do it. A guy that I considered in the past, I'm not so much sure on now, but I'll throw it out there. Jeremy Grant. Similar to Siakam, can fill in that defensive role, shore that up. You know what I mean? And then I don't think he's gonna give you 25, 20, but he could give you, a good 16, 17, 18. But again, to me, that was in the past. That was like
Right.
year one with Randall, with the Mook year.
I think Randall is a go-to player that you go through, and some of these other guys play off of guys. I think Jeremy Grant is somebody who plays off of
Mhm.
people. And I think if you're going to trade Julius Randle, unless you believe Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, or somebody else is ready to be somebody you can go to, I think you got to bring in another player you can go to if you get rid of
Yeah,
Randall.
I definitely don't think Obi is a guy that you're looking at that you can go to. Maybe
Right.
RJ is going to develop there, but I don't
Right.
know. I definitely don't think Obi. But speaking of Karl Anthony Towns, and he's been in the playoffs 3 times throughout his career. Cat.
Mhm.
He averaged 15 and 10, 15 and 13, 22 and 11, and then 18 and 10 in the playoffs.
And I'm
Okay.
on record as saying I feel like, and I wasn't happy about it, but I feel like it's gonna be either Cat or Levine this offseason that we pursue. Um
In
I,
addition to
Here's the
Randall,
thing. here's the thing. If at this particular moment, if we're going after Cat, I think it makes more sense to move Randall in his place. But
Yeah,
if we're going after Levine, then I want it in addition, you know what I mean, to Randall. And you know what I mean? Like I didn't want either one of these guys
Mhm,
what
mhm,
but
mhm.
but I'm kind of warming up to it because I kind of, like I said, I felt like after the trade deadline, I felt like that was the two guys that were most likely to be who we pursue. One of the two guys, you know what I mean? Like,
the biggest thing that this is what I don't want the Knicks to do when it comes to Randall. And I agree with you, Tony. If you're going after Karl Anthony Towns, it's not going to fit unless the only other way it would fit is if you're thinking about moving Mitchell Robinson and you're going to put him at center.
Right.
That there's no way that Minnesota is going to do Mitchell Robinson because
mm-hmm,
they got Rudy Gobert. That
mm-hmm,
ain't going to work. So you're talking about Julius Randle, and if you're bringing in Zach Levine, you want to add him to RJ and Randle and Brunson and all of that. I just if you're gonna move him, I don't want to move him for another flawed guy. Randall's already flawed. I mean, everyone's gonna be flawed, right?
Right.
But I don't want to move him for someone who's gonna be who, when you look at, you're gonna say, it's just gonna be pretty much the same. Maybe we're a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be definitive. Either it's gonna be definitive because we know this guy could step up in the playoffs, or he really fits like a glove into what they
Mhm.
want to do, or he's just so much more talented that he's automatically going to make the team better. You know what I mean? That's the kind of move you have to do, I think, because when you make this move, you're disrupting the growth that you've built with this basketball team, right? You started to build a foundation with this team, and if you're gonna disrupt that foundation, you better make sure that it's
mm-hmm.
gonna be right, because it can fall really, really quick. Look at Brooklyn. It can fall quick. So you gotta
Right.
make sure that you're making that right move.
So this is what I get. I get you're unsure on Cat.
I
Sim.
mean, yeah, I
You,
mean, I don't
uh,
I don't know. I like Karl Anthony Towns, don't get me wrong, right? I like that he
it,
can spread the floor some. Um, I don't know where his heart is per se. I mean, you know, in the playoffs, 15 and 13, that's decent. That was his first year. Second year, 21 and 10, third year, 18 and 10. I mean, if you look at it, Randall's been in the playoffs 3 times, 18 and 12 the first time in the playoffs. He's at 15 and 10 now. You give him one more year, he might average 21. It's the same numbers.
Mhm.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So, we're still
Is Carl Anthony Towns younger or older or
about
same
the
age?
same age.
Same age. All right.
Yeah.
And
He's
then Queen.
27, Randall's 28.
My my take from Queen. You a little bit more okay with the Cat thing. You wanted to see the playoff numbers, but um yeah, I don't know, because I already felt like Cat was an option, and like you said, Sim, I don't see a scenario in which we have Cat and still have Randall. Um, I think I would consider it. I'll say this: I think Randall next to Gobert would work a whole lot better than Randall next to Robinson, and I only say that because again, that experience that he has, basically Gobert is already matured, right? Or developed into his role. We're kind of hoping Mitchell Robinson could kind of figure out some of the things that Gobert already knows. You know what I mean? He knows how to get out the way a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he knows how to actually receive a pass from a Randall coming to the basket, attacking the rim, and things like Mitchell got to figure that out still a little bit better. Um, so I would hate to do it and then that team actually get
Yeah.
somewhere. Um, yeah, but there's not many people I would trade Randall for, to be honest. Like
Me,
it's just
if I was in the front office, I'd be looking for the wing position. I'd be looking for a guy in the wing because I feel like the spot that Quentin Grimes or Josh Hart is manning right now, I feel like that's the hole. And if we could fill that spot with a player that's better than Brunson and Randall, somehow, some way, you know, then I feel like you're looking at a very different team. So I'd be
If
looking to see, can I fill that spot? And it may be impossible, but that would be what I'm looking to do. Because I
Right.
feel like if we can fill that spot with a guy who can defend, a guy who can, I mean, like a guy that can obviously score the basketball, can step up in the playoffs, all fits that bill. I think you I think that's where I think that's what we need right now.
No doubt about it. And I would overpay a little bit um,
Yeah.
to get
um
if we can. But Tim, I think, and we'll talk more about this in the offseason, I think both of those positions, the 2 and the 3, because as well as RJ has played in the playoffs, I feel like we need somebody that can shoot at both of those positions. And
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of confidence in RJ Barrett's shot, though I'm impressed with how he's been able to step up in the playoffs. Um, his playmaking in the playoffs and just really playing within the flow of the game and seeing his options. I've been really, really impressed with that. But that shooting is still a concern.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. It is. It's still a concern. You know. But yeah, in the wing positions, I think, yeah, we can solidify that, you know, but if we can get a guy in that wing and then look and see and say, okay, we think we have a complete first five right here, and hopefully, your bench is still strong. Now let me see, Randall can't get it done, then maybe we got to move on and get somebody else that can get
Right,
it done. You know what I'm
right,
saying? But if it works, then maybe we got something to go with. That's where I am with it because I think it's proven, and this was a playoff period to where the front office could see we don't think he's gonna get it done in the playoffs for us.
right,
So we need somebody else on this squad. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know if that necessarily means you have to move Randall to
right,
find that piece, but if that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? I think
right,
all those things are in there. The only person that's probably safe is Jalen Brunson.
right.
shout out to the chat. They got me dying. Oh, shout out to Lady D. She said Jalen Brown. Me and Sam was talking about that last night. I asked him about is he the number one option if he comes here? I know the answer that Sim gave. I want to hear what the Queen thinks. Is he the number one option?
Yeah. Oh, you mean the number one option on our team if he
Yeah.
comes, or is he the number one
Yes.
option we should go after?
No, on our
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Same.
I think I think he would be only because I think Brunson is cool with like whatever whatever it takes.
um, my question. I don't remember if you answered this, Sim. So for both of you, if it's Ingram, is he the number one option on this team?
Hmm.
But I
Or
don't know
or,
about
or
number one. Would he be the best player on? Is that what you? Would he
I
be the
mean,
best
yeah,
team?
yes, because we saying we need someone better than Brunson. So
Okay.
ultimately, I'm asking, is he better? But so yes,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Is he better?
Listen, if
Because
we
I
could
know
get
we all agree
one
we
more
would want
guy.
him. We would want him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So will
mean,
he be? Yeah, guys.
you know, I don't think he would be better than Brunson, but he may be the first scoring option. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a difference there. He may be the guy we say, okay, we're gonna try to get him a buck. See if we can find him a shot first. If he don't get it, then we'll let Brunson break it down. If he can't do it, then we'll go to RJ or Randall. You know what I'm saying? Something like
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Listen, you
Do
get
you think?
Ingram on this team, a healthy Ingram,
Healthy. That's
he
the
would take the place of a Randall. This guy, if you watched him in the playoffs, he was getting it. And if you watched him I don't think they make the playoffs. Did they make it? But like down the stretch, I think they lost in the play in the play-in.
Yeah.
The talent on this
Okay, let me ask you. Would y'all move Randall in that trade?
a healthy Ingram.
Got to be healthy.
Yeah, I would say
I
yes
mean,
because I've seen them in the
I'm
playoffs
saying
last
based
year.
off what we've seen this year, because like health is never guaranteed, right? Like,
Well,
so it might,
It's never
it's
guaranteed,
gotta,
but
it's gotta be
50
part of
games
the
a
risk.
season. Yeah,
So,
that's a big ask.
that's what I'm saying. This off season, if the deal's in play, do you do it, or are you saying, all right, I want to see if Ingram could play 72 games and then we'll revisit it next year? You know, like that, because that's what I'm.
Yeah, see, I would be let's take it all things even. Both guys are straight out always healthy. I would do it all day.
Okay,
Ingram is just that much better of an offensive player.
Yeah.
so
You know what I'm saying?
I got a
But
scenario.
if you're looking at who's going to be available, I think that makes a difference. You got to add that in there
Right.
because Ingram
Right.
played 45 games this year,
Right.
55
You,
last year, 61 the year before,
you said how
63,
many this year?
45.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you, but you know what I mean. Reality. So you wouldn't do it this off season, Sim? Because you got to look at it. You know
I
what I
need
mean?
the guy to be healthy.
Okay, fair
'Cause
enough.
to me, like that's if he's not there for half of your games, you might still be in the same situation. Now, if we knew he was always going to be healthy, that's a no-brainer to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's better.
Because
And you got to take into the playoffs too. He performed. I think the last year they were in the playoffs. He
Yeah,
performed.
27 points a game.
I was gonna say, because if you could move Randall for Ingram this offseason, then
He
you
might
could
come cheaper.
potentially and you could potentially still go after Zach Levine. And now you're talking about Brunson, Levine,
That ain't gonna
Ingram. You know what I mean? I don't know who's at
You
the
just
four.
need hustle guys at the 4 and 5. Kobe
Yeah,
can start on that team. You know?
but then we talk about a bunch of guys that ain't gonna be in the lineup all year. Because
Yeah.
Zach Levine goes through
Yeah,
his.
that's true too.
I think like that's
That's true
important.
too.
You know what I'm saying? Making
That's
sure you
true
have
too.
your guys there, so that you can be where you want to be. Um, but then also those guys got to perform when it's time to perform.
Right.
It's tough.
I mean,
You know, it's
see,
tough. It's
see,
tough. But
You-
but
you-
but still, when you're talking about making changes to this team, you got to make sure you're bringing in the right guys. You know what I'm saying? Because from the time that Tom Thibodeau's taken over, they've been on a constant incline. You know what I'm saying? Besides, obviously, the one year, last year they didn't make the playoffs, but they've been
Right.
getting better. You know what I'm saying? And they reached the playoffs versus Atlanta, crapped out. This year they made it to the second round. We'll see if it's gonna be a crap out or what's gonna happen. But the trajectory is going up.
Mhm.
You want to keep the trajectory going up. So you got to figure out uh when is the plateau level of this team? How do you keep adding pieces so that the trajectory continues to go up? And you don't want to do what Brooklyn did and it burns because they
Right.
had something that was nice that was
Mhm.
growing, and then they said, you know what, boom, we're gonna do this.
Right.
And now I guess we'll see where they are next year. It's
Right.
hard to tell from the playoffs this year, but you'll see where they are next year. But I think if you're gonna make the move, like I mean, me, I don't feel any player in the league is not tradable. I feel anyone is tradable for the right price. You know what I'm saying? And how it makes your team. And if you can trade Randall and bring in someone that's gonna make you better, then you do it all
Right.
day long.
But
No, I mean,
sometimes you
go
don't
ahead, Ken.
know
You
if the
don't
guy
know.
is
That's the hard
it's
part.
gonna make like Giannis, yes, that's clear.
Right.
Brandon Ingram, you don't really know. Siakam, you don't know because gelling and chemistry is a big part of being better as well.
Right. Right. Well,
So if a guy like Siakam is like made available, right? Do you start to inquire and see what it takes,
I'm not
or is he just
I
not a?
like Siakam. I like him. I don't
Mhm.
know if he's that big of a playoff performer. I
And again, I'm not saying with Randall now. Because again, we
you think
have
they
the
can play
assets,
together?
huh?
You think they can
I'm just
play
saying,
together?
I'm just saying we have the assets in Fournier, Rose, both being expiring contracts, 30 million, you know what I mean? Plus the plethora of draft picks that we have to make a move that doesn't touch the rotation players at all. You know what I mean? We have the ability to bring in a 30
You're
million
not
dollar,
taking that though, Tony.
huh?
You got to think about the other team. You think they're gonna take a Fournier in a Rose and
We've 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 seen it 100 times throughout NBA history, expiring contracts and draft capital being the incentive to move a contract that, you know what I mean, a big contract that not, again, I'm not attaching any name to it, but I'm saying if we're bringing in a talented guy and not touching the rotation, the current rotational players, and then just figuring out how to insert him in is just as good a move, you know what I mean, as or I mean, that got to be a move as opposed to having Fournier sitting on the bench at 17 million and having Rose on the bench for 13 million. You know what I mean?
a
So
Rose is coming off anyway.
I don't think he is.
They're gonna re-sign him.
I think they pick up the option.
Mm,
I think they have to. We talked about it
Yeah.
last night because if we don't pick up the option, that cap money doesn't become available.
right,
Or
So
right. The ability to trade him for somebody doesn't become available
right,
without trading some of your major pieces.
right, right.
Because if
well,
he
no, if we don't pick up the option, then he's not on our team at all.
That's what I'm saying. So if
Right,
he
right, right,
Yeah,
right.
right,
yeah,
without I mean, you can still trade for somebody, but now you may have to trade someone else
yeah,
that 15 million that's on your roster where you can say, well, we got Derrick Rose's contract is 15 million. You know, maybe we can trade
yes.
that and then you guys can negotiate a buyout or whatever.
But
Right.
that's what I mean. If we don't pick up that option, it's not like that 15 million becomes
Gotcha.
available that we could use to sign somebody.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's
Gotcha.
dead. You know what I mean? It's dead money. So I don't think. I think we have. You know what I mean? We keep
I
him.
think it would be special for the Knicks to find a team that's willing to they just want to dump salary so bad that they don't want any rotation players. They don't want anybody in return. They just want to
Right.
dump salary. I
I'm.
think
I'm.
it's going to be hard to find that.
I beg. I mean, it may take one though. It may take one. It's not gonna. It doesn't have to be like if you're talking superstar. Now they're gonna be asking for, you know what I mean, exactly what they want in return. But if you're talking about a mutual guy that the team is trying to move, you know what I mean, and go in a different direction. We've seen that year after year after year. What? They didn't give up. All they gave up was the 4 picks, you know what I mean? And the rest of these guys were expiring, or the 4 picks and minimal
But I think
rotation play.
I hear what you're saying, but I think we would need to create room. If we're bringing in somebody who's going to get minutes, it may not be a bad idea to give up somebody in the rotation because we're going with 9.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you create room, or somebody has to fall back into the situational role. Like so either way, it, we've seen that happen. Tibbs don't have no problem finagling his rotation to put the guy he wants in the rotation. You know what I mean? Somebody just gonna have to take a step back. But yeah, you get rid of a guy, you keep a guy, and he's in a situational role. We're still in a prime position to improve the team, whether it's like going for the superstar, or just another piece that'll fit in better, help better, you know what I mean, contribute in an area. I mean, we're spending 17 million on Fournier. to be a shooter, and we're not playing him. You know what I mean? Maybe we get a better shooter, and he fits into the rotation. Being that shooting is a thing we need. I mean, obviously we want the full package. We want the two-way ability, but we may not be able to find that guy. We may just be able to find one hole to fill instead of, you know what I mean, multiple holes.
Let me
You was
ask
gonna say something?
let me ask you this. If the Knicks come back with the same squad next year, how you gonna feel?
I'm not gonna feel good.
I'm not gonna feel bad because again, I know I'm looking to see what happens between then and the trade deadline. Because again, if we bringing back the same team, we gotta figure out how we can move Fournier and Rose as expirants. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't see them being reinserted into the rotation anyway. So
But I mean, but the same rotation. Whether we switch those out for other guys, we're talking about the same rotation.
Or
I'm
I guess I'm talking about the same core, right? So
the
your
same.
core: Brunson, RJ, Randall, Mitch,
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm not mad at it because they could still
Whitney,
grow.
IQ.
IQ,
Yeah.
that same core group of guys. Josh Hart, there's about 8 core guys.
Hmm.
If they come back with that same core, maybe they add tinker and add this and add that. How are you gonna feel if they come back with that same core?
I'm not. I'm expecting that. To be honest, I'm expecting that. I don't know. I'm not expecting a big splash or a big change. I think like you've pointed out, we've gotten better, right? Under Tibbs tutelage, we went from not making the playoffs to making the playoffs, missing it, um, making the playoffs, beating getting past the first round. Like we're on a trajectory of improvement. So unless it is the big splash, there's no reason to make um tinkers in the rotational pieces because we kind of, I don't even want to say we they're still growing. You know what I mean? So we think about 3 weeks ago we talking about IQ making 170 something million or being eligible for it. You know what I mean? Now we might get them for 85, 90 million. And, and, and,
And that's
and
still too much.
I mean,
Like, I mean, I guess it depends if you're an internal growth person or if you are the championship window, contending window is open, but I've seen it close just as fast as well. So just because it's open doesn't mean it's going to stay open. You change the coach, you change some pieces. Those pieces don't fit. The rest of the conference gets better because they're not going to stand pat. And then the next thing you know, you falling behind. You know, so that's going to be a tough question. There's some players that I'm just not high on long term, and the Knicks front office might be. The Knicks front office might think we're going to stand pat, and with this player, I think they're going to grow into something. Let's stand pat. But there's a few players. Me personally, I would not stand pat on. And I think what I've learned is Brunson is the real thing. You know, Josh Hart is the real thing. Um, I like the way Hartenstein play. I'm not saying that I'm opening the bank for him, but there's some guys that you could really say like, yo, they can perform under the heat.
but
Um,
we only talking about next year. Like we're not talking about, you know
yeah,
what I
but
mean?
next year is part of the part of the climb, so to speak. So you got to start getting your team together so that they can be together and that they can gel. So if you believe in these guys, then keep them and have them grow together on this climb. All I'm saying is for me, there are certain players that I would switch out. Um,
See, me personally, I don't mind. I mean, I still see. I mean, he only used 9 guys. I see where you can add a guy,
Mhm.
into your rotation,
Mhm.
and still have a 10-man rotation because they only use
Mhm.
9. I
Mhm.
wouldn't mind seeing, the group come back. You add a guy, just like that added Brunson, you add a guy that fits into that 10-man rotation and see if the group can grow more.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. And then, see if we can, um, I mean, this is Brunson's first year with the group. See if we can get better because I think part of the reason this team has gotten better has been the stability of it and see if we can get better. Then after next year, if you say, we probably plateaued here, then I'd be looking to say, okay, we need some big major changes. You know what I mean? Now if we, next year, then we got better again, then I'd look and say, okay, maybe we're still up now. Maybe we're still growing. But I think I would try to add a wing player to complete your 10-man rotation and see how it goes for next year. That's where I would be. So I wouldn't be upset if the core came back.
And if I had to pick a rotational player to kind of move out and then find somebody else to fill in elsewhere, I think Obi would probably be the highest on the list out of, what I mean, our rotational guys, to say, all right, what can we get for him, and then what can we put in and add. But again, to the direct question of being mad, no, I wouldn't be mad if they brought this core back, especially knowing we, like I just pointed, we have the ability to add to the core without touching it. You know what I mean? So that's part of the reason why I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone
I,
asked
I
who
would be. I would be upset.
someone asked who's the core. To me, the core is Brunson, RJ, Randall, Mitch, probably Grimes, IQ, Josh Hart, and I guess maybe Obi. You know,
Yeah,
I Hart.
the 9-man rotation, basically.
9-man rotation is kind of your core. Maybe you show. I guess some guys have to be expendable that you can move, right? So you would think Obi is probably expendable. Maybe I Heart is expendable. What do they think about Mitch after the playoff series? Do they feel? I mean, I feel like it's Mitch's first playoff series, so we got to give him time to, figure it out in the playoffs. He did great in the first round and second round. He got outplayed. Um, I don't know. I think you can get better without messing up your core rotations because we have that one. We have an open spot somewhere, so I think you could get better without messing up your rotation.
The thing with the open spot, though, Sim, is that somebody's minutes is going to go down,
Yeah,
depending on who you bring in. Because going with just a 3 guard rotation allow quickly to get, I don't know, 28, 29, whatever minutes he got. If you're bringing in a 10th player, somebody's minutes somewhere along is going to go down. And it depends. If you're bringing in a 15-minute guy, maybe it doesn't go down that much. But if you're bringing in a starter, like a 30-minute guy, then somebody's minutes is going down
yeah. I mean,
drastically.
for me, like if you bring in a starter, I mean, I'm looking at probably Grimes minutes goes down.
Yeah.
So a wing player. That's why I think there's a wing spot that's open.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For someone to really take hold and fill. Because I don't think Grimes is getting it. Josh Hart, I don't think he's that level of player, where you're gonna say I'm plugging him in and he's gonna be that guy. So I think there's a spot there that can really be filled, and you would still have your 10-man rotation. You know what I mean? But someone would have to get cut out. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? Someone would lose some minutes, or to make the rotations work and to fit.
Yeah.
You know, um, so I think you can get better. By having your core, and seeing can the team grow some more, and continue to get better. And and I would think for me after next season, I'm like, then I'd really be looking to say either we got better and we feel like there's promise here, or this roster's not going to get it, and we got to make major changes.
Right.
You know,
All right, fellas. It was
All
good
right,
rocking with
Queen.
y'all.
Appreciate
I
All right.
appreciate
appreciate
y'all. Get out of here and prepare. I'll see y'all next time. All right.
Oh, shout out to Nixon. Nixon Nice. He said, remember the 6'10" kid we signed from the Spurs. I'm not too familiar with him. I know we signed him late. He wasn't eligible to, what I mean, play or whatever. But you familiar with that kid?
I forgot the kid's name, but yeah, I remember who we talking about, but I forgot his name. The light skinned dude.
Yeah. Any attributes from him as far as like, is he a shooter? I think he's like a versatile big,
Versatile,
right?
big, right. He didn't remember he didn't play. He got all that money. He didn't even, he got all the money for one game for like
One
last
game.
season.
Yep.
Um, to me, I just I don't know. Like as a fan base, I don't think we exercise patience well. And
I
I know
agree.
people are gonna say we've been patient for all of these years. Da 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 da. Da." We really haven't been patient. We've been mad, crying, and throwing bags on our head and doing all kinds of wild stuff. We really hasn't haven't been patient. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about right now that we have a team that's actually decent and trying to figure out we automatically, oh, we didn't get to the Eastern Conference Finals. At least, it looks like we're not going to get there. We didn't get there. We're down 3-1. Major changes have to be made. When if you go back and you look at, some of your older Knicks teams, they got eliminated in the first round. They got eliminated in the second round. You know what I'm saying? And got eliminated in the second round a couple of years. Found their way to the Eastern Conference Finals. It took time.
And
It
then
won't be all at once,
and
man.
and then the Knicks and Bruises started. You talk about the fan base ain't patient. You know how long it took for the organization to become a patient organization? Like we're in the midst of the organization finally having some patience and not jumping the gun on any every name that is out there. You know what I mean? Like to me, that Donovan Mitchell, I mean, whether you liked it or not, that was the organization showing some patience and saying, "All right, we're not 100%. We're not gonna jump the gun." You know what I mean? But yeah, we fans haven't been patient, but it's been a long time. It
Yeah,
took a long time for the organization to kind of get patient and say, "All right, I got a coach. Let's see what he could do for
right.
the
I mean,
tenure of
yeah,
his contract."
let's
Let's
look at this. In 87, 88, let's go back to then. Lost in the Eastern Conference first round, right? The next year, 88, 89, lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That's where the Knicks are right now. 52-30 on the season, lost in the semifinals. 80, 89, 90, lost in the semifinals. 90, 91, lost in the first round. You know what I'm saying? And these teams had to obviously, rosters grew. You know what I mean? Players, free agency, leave, go to other teams. You bring in other players. You figure out, what it is. But the core of these teams kind of stayed together.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Finally, 92, 93, they get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, obviously, they were also running into Michael Jordan. So there's a big difference there. You know what I'm saying? Because of who they was matched up against. You know what I mean? They never managed to put what they needed to put around Patrick Ewing. That's without a doubt. But a lot of their core players remain the same as they grew. And then they got to points where they said, we gotta add more.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
And they were doing everything correct up until 99.
You know? Um, and then, they got to the point where they added more. There were changes in the roster, but your core groups of players, the Ewings and Starks and I still kind of be upset. I'm still kind of upset that they traded Mark Jackson, but your Masons, Charles Oakley's, like, those guys kind of stayed around for a little while.
But even when they kind of transitioned, the new core got some years together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The at least 3 years together, I believe. Like the Spreewell, Houston, Canby, um, I mean, Hewan was on it in 99, but up until 99, like that's when the Knicks organization started to lose their patience. You know what I mean? Like it was turnover in the roster year after year, turnover in coaching staff year after year. You know what I mean? Like so that's what I was saying. How up until 99, we we had a consistent core. You know what I mean? And we're constantly building on slowly building like a slow grind. You know what I mean? After that, it was like, all right, we need names, we
Yeah.
need stars, we need to win now. You know what I mean? And mistake after mistake.
Honey, can I show something real quick?
Absolutely.
Anthony D says, Sim, you're a Randall Stan, my man. Face it. Actually, I really, I'm really not. I'm not at all. I mean, if you look at what jersey I have an Obi Toppin jersey. I didn't go buy a Julius Randle jersey. I'm playing like getting a Jalen Brunson jersey. I'm really not that big of a Julius Randle fan. People think that because I defend him. I only defend him because I feel like he gets toasted all the time. Any player that's always getting toasted, I'm like, y'all can't blame the entire season. You can't blame it all on one person. When RJ was getting toasted in the beginning of the playoffs, when RJ was getting toasted, I was like, I admit it, he had to play better, da da da. But I still was like, he's young. He's learning how to do it in the playoffs. He's got to figure some things out. That's just who I am because I've played a lot of basketball, and I think a lot of you have played a lot of basketball, and everything can't be blamed on one person. It doesn't mean that you don't make moves, but also, you give, if you see your team is on an upward trajectory, I think you got to wait. I think you wait until it plateaus to figure out if you got to make moves or not. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So I'm not a super fan of Julius Randle. I'm not at all. I'm saying I don't got posters in my house of Julius Randle. Only thing I got in my house of Julius Randle is the magazine cover with him and RJ.
Slam.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's the way it is now. If you don't join in the bashing and the hating, then you got to be a apologist, or you know what I mean, a stand. But I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel the same way. When I feel like it's too much, that people are just going overboard and just constantly, you know, bringing up irrelevant things, and you gotta
And,
defend them. We
right.
be ODing sometimes.
Yeah, Anthony D. I didn't say anything about the coaches. I talked about the roster. I talked about the core, the group. The fact that Ewing wanted out doesn't mean he obviously didn't get traded during that time, right? So they kept the core. They kept the core group together for a while before they figured out they needed to make more moves to get better. I didn't say anything about coaching. I said the core group of players.
Yeah, you got somebody defending you right here,
He's right.
and that's and
That's it. I'm not a Randall fan. I'm just not gonna hate on the guy.
but yeah, appreciate you joining me, Sim. Oh man, tomorrow, let's see what we could do. What time? What you got coming
Uh,
up?
I don't know. Well, obviously tomorrow we play tomorrow, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yes. Wednesday game. What, 5?
Tomorrow
Game
is
5.
game 5. Do or die, man. It's do or die. 7:30 at the Garden, man. It's do or die.
I'm just saying, yo, go out swinging. That's all
That's
I'm saying.
where I'm at.
Go out swinging. You know, maybe you get a haymaker out and knock him out, boom, and then but go out swinging. Don't you know what I mean? We ain't waving no white towels, no white flags.
Go out with a battle and go out swinging, like literally go out swinging if you have to. Somebody on their ass if you got to, man. Go out swinging. Don't. Yeah, you got to come out and play ball. That's that's what I want to see, man. That's what I want to see. I just want to see him come out and battle like it means something.
He says, Sim, in order for Brunson to spread his wings, Randall and possibly RJ has to go.
So you're expecting that Jalen Brunson, who averaged what he averaged this year? 20, 23, 24?
He's
So
gonna do
what?
more.
So what's he gonna average? We want Jalen Brunson. We expect he's gonna be a 30-point per game guy. 24 points per game from Jalen Brunson this year. 24 points, 6 assists, 49% shooting from the field, 41.6% from the 3-point line.
Who was
How much wider are we expecting Jalen Brunson's wings to be spread?
I got a question for you. It just came to me. Is Jalen Brunson better than peak Isaiah Thomas?
Which Isaiah?
Young Isaiah Thomas. Not
I think so.
huh? You think so?
I think so.
Because he had a run, you know what I mean, like a 3-year run where I'm trying to think, like I was trying to think, like when's the last time I seen a small guard kind of come up in the league the way Brunson has.
Yeah.
And the only person I could come up with was Isaiah Thomas. Without going, you know what I mean, even further back.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he had a 3-year run that he was really cooking, then he kind of fell off after that.
I mean, that was injury based too. So
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like no,
all that kind of stuff. But I mean, his best season was 28.9 points, 6 assists. He was cooking. He was cooking.
and he had some playoff numbers.
And
Like
what was crazy is that's the year that Boston decided they didn't want him. They wasn't going to re-sign him.
because he got hurt and he was playing hurt in the playoffs.
Mm.
They did him dirty, basically. Like he sacrificed his body,
Yeah.
knowing he was gonna get paid, and then they ain't pay him. Like they kind of lowballed him on what they offered him, and he wasn't healthy to start the following season. So
Right.
nobody was trying to pay him that big contract.
Anthony D expects that Jalen Brunson is going to average 30. That's what he said. Yes, he expects he's going to average 30. So if they trade Randle and maybe even RJ, and Brunson still averages 24 and 6, Ant D's probably going to want him gone. Oh, he's not reaching his expectations. That's what we're going to hear from Ant D probably. I don't know. I'm a big person on consistency too. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like as stable as you can be, it's going to help you. It's going to help you it's going to help you get better. And it's part of the reason that the Knicks have gotten to where they are right now. It's the stability. You know what I'm saying? And I think you've got to see how much you can maximize this roster. Like you see where they can go. I think you got to see because I still think we have guys who are getting better and are going to get better. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and you can tinker with it and you can add pieces, but I think you got to give it the chance to plateau.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about 5 years. I'm talking about the next year.
Yeah, another year.
You know what I'm saying? You give it a year to say, can this group really get good? If not, then we got to make a move. Because you just added Jalen Brunson to this group, and they've got significantly better with adding Jalen Brunson. Now can they grow? I don't know.
I'm laughing because a lot of people thought I meant the real Isaiah Thomas.
You know,
That's hilarious.
yeah,
I would never disrespect
yeah.
Isaiah Thomas in the Pistons, but
Dave Williams said, "We took a step forward this year. We're going in the right direction. Can't jump out the window so easily." And that's what I agree with him. You know what I'm saying? We took a step forward. You can't just jump out and say, "Oh, that's it." You know, we're down 3-1. It's over. This roster's been maximized. I think you get, you know, as long as you're taking steps forward, I think you gotta. I mean, one of these years you want to take a leap,
mhm.
but you know, and if you don't take a leap next year, then you say, "All right, we got to do something different." But I think like this year, if the Knicks didn't make the playoffs, you knew you got to do something different. But they made the playoffs and took a step in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Now next year, you're expecting another step. Let's say they get eliminated 4-1. What if next year, the same group, they go in the playoffs and they lose by 2 points in game 7 in the semifinals in the second round? You're gonna say, okay, they got better. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they have a chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think you gotta give it a chance, man, to marinate some. But
Yeah, I agree.
you know, I understand. You know, people are anxious. You know, people are anxious. They want, you know, they want it all right now.
You know how many more tips? How many more years Tips has?
This guy
Two.
this is his 3rd year, so
Yeah,
he got next year and the year after.
yeah. I'm like, because Nixon Knight said I'm giving him till next year. I'm giving him the duration. Let him
Yeah,
finish out his contract and see where the team is as of then. You know what I
yep,
mean? See how much we improve. See if we take another step next year, and then give him. You know, then he got that last year to figure it out. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna let him go early. Almighty Finesse says Tibbs is getting an extension. Now that I wouldn't do. Not yet. That I wouldn't do yet.
nah,
You know what I mean?
I would,
Extension. We need Eastern Conference or finals
yeah,
to warrant extension.
get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I agree with that. Get to the Eastern, or at least show that you have the ability to get there. You know, say you got to the semis, like I said, and went to games.
Yeah, and Game 7. Yep.
You know what I'm saying, and lost by a couple points in game 7. You're like, okay, you know what, this can get there.
Yeah.
It's tough,
But
man.
yeah,
I try not to be a prisoner in the moment when talking about making, you know, those type of, you know, making roster changes. You know what I mean? Because it, you know, the moment can change quickly.
I agree. I mean, that's why I feel like we're in that such a good place
Yeah,
with the Fournier and with the Rose contracts
right.
because you know what I mean. Now you have the ability, whether it's separately or together. You know what I mean. Like you could find a decent or a good shooter for 17 million. That's what we paid Fournier to do. You know what I mean at that price. So you
Right.
can't tell me you can't find that out there. Oh,
This
shit,
guy.
yeah, the whole season, Julius Randle, yeah, not improved.
Oh boy. I mean,
Uh,
I
hey,
mean, I don't know. I just try not to. I try not to. Uh, when the playoffs started, I actually asked the question about bringing this roster back, and so many people in the chat,
mm-hmm.
whoever was on the show at the time, was like, "Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't mind bringing the roster back and see what we can do next year." And we were even talking about a second round exit at the time. We weren't talking about Eastern Conference Finals. We were talking about a second round exit. It was to Milwaukee though, right? We were thinking the second round exit to Milwaukee, you know. But hey, you know, things change though. I get it. Things change. You know, I just try not to be a prisoner of the moment and understand, you know, what we have in front of us. I do think the roster needs upgrades to get better, but I think we can do it without killing the core.
Shooting is our main need now.
That's a big need.
Our main need is shooting. Now, if you could bring shooting plus, you know what I mean. If you could bring 3 and D, that's even better, obviously. But I mean, we've been saying it even all series this year, and Tibbs been saying it as well. It's not the defense that has been hurting us. You know what I mean? It's been the offense and the execution, and then those 50-50, you know what I mean, them hustle plays that's been
Yeah,
beating us. You talk about what they was averaging 120, 123,
like 124, 125.
and we got them down to what, 109?
Yeah, something like that. Somewhere around there.
So the defense
Nothing less than that.
is not the problem. So if we could bring in an adequate defender who could shoot lights out, yeah.
Yeah,
The problem is that's what we thought we had in Fournier, and the defense
right.
seemed to be so much of a liability that he ends up being situational.
Yeah,
So
situation.
we can't. Yeah, I mean, you have to be at least adequate defensively.
Right. Because Tibbs isn't the kind of coach that he isn't the kind of coach that can figure out, in my opinion, okay, he's got limitations defensively, but how can I maximize him so much on the offensive side that it
It's
makes
a
up for
plus.
what he doesn't have defensively? He's not that kind of coach.
Is Doug McDermott a upgrade defensively from Fournier than
I
Fournier?
don't know. I haven't really watched Doug McDermott play in a long time. I just know I used to like Dougie Fresh.
Yeah, I think that's like a small move we could do.
Yeah.
Especially I think he's still on the Spurs, so you know what I mean. I think Fournier would fit. Like they wouldn't even necessarily have to buy him out. They could spend a little money for him.
Yeah.
And I think Doug is making 13, so it's not even that much of a
Right.
difference.
All
You know what I
minus
mean?
finesse. He put up Nick Nurse, Budenholzer. I guess, these are coaches that, got fired. Nick Nurse got fired from, what did he get fired from?
The Raptors and the Bucks.
Raptors, right? But I think where we missing the boat on that, right, is Milwaukee had championship expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened within Milwaukee this year, they maybe they feel like they plateaued or obviously took a step backwards, a large step backwards. They lost in the first round after being the first seed. When you talk about Nick Nurse with the Raptors, same thing, plateaued. You know what I mean? Although he got fired after they lost Kawhi, right?
Yeah, he just got fired.
He just got fired, right?
Yeah, he just got fired. I feel like
Nick Nurse was still coaching this year. Dang.
yeah,
I felt like
yeah.
been fired before then. So, I mean, when your team is no longer going up and they plateau, then yeah. If your team is still going up, then you're probably not going to get. I'm not gonna say you're probably not. It's happened. Oh, that's right. It was Dwayne Casey who lost his job to Nick Nurse in Toronto. That's right. Right? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking of. Dwayne Casey lost his job to Nick Nurse, and then Nick Nurse just got fired. So that's what I was thinking about.
I just asked the question: is Doug McDermott's defense better than Fournier? That's all I asked.
Right. Already jumping out. He just said he's sitting on the windowsill with his legs hanging over the edge. Already jumping out the window. Just ask if his defense was better. But Dwayne Casey got fired in Toronto because they plateaued. And it was like, we need a new voice to help us get over the top. At some point, this team is going to plateau. And they're probably not going to plateau at the championship. Right? And then you're going to have to make a decision on what to do with Tom Thibodeau. That could be next year. That could be the year afterwards. And
here's the thing, too, about, firing coach or whatever. We just started kind of giving him the guys he wants, right? Like, that was a big thing. we seen the results and the difference when he kind of gets the guys he wants.
Yeah.
So now you want to bring in a new coach who may not want the guys.
You bringing a new coach.
Now we got to figure more things out.
Yeah, now you might be breaking it down. Lady D422, do you guys think that RJ would be a starter on any of the top tier teams in the league?
I think there's a few he could start for.
Maybe a couple, maybe a couple, but RJ's still growing and getting better too. You know what I'm saying? One of these days it might be a surefire yes. We'll see, where RJ goes. See where RJ goes. It's so crazy a lot with a team just, how does your team fit? Like your team has to fit. And sometimes, like a player may come to your team that you think is going to be a surefire starter, but they don't really fit with the starting lineup. So he's like, hey, can you come off the bench? You're still going to get your 35, 40 minutes, 35 minutes a game or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I see some people that's, have a lot cooler heads in the chat. Some people are just,
I think you can't like part of you, no matter how disappointed you are and where we are currently in this series, the season was a success. You know what I mean? So I think once you start to let that marinate and get over the actual like where we are in this Miami Heat series, and you look at the season overall and where we've come from, where we started, what was 11-13. Everybody was talking about the world is about to end, and we fought constantly throughout the season. You know what I mean? We had wins where we didn't play well. We had games we played well and couldn't figure it out. And you know what I mean? It's been a roller coaster, but like you gotta enjoy with the outcome at the end. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be happy with where we started and how we finished. You know what I mean? The growth.
Right. Almighty said, if the Suns get eliminated, Monty Williams could get fired also.
It's yeah. The coaching job is the most unsafe job in the NBA.
He could. I mean, if you got KD and you got
Booker,
Devin Booker, you know what I mean? You're expected to do a lot, but this is also the first year that they got KD at the trade deadline. They did a roster overall at the trade deadline. It would be, it'd be unfair to Monty Williams, I think. But happens. I go back to Ed D that's listening. I go back to my conspiracy theory from last night. Remember, Tony? Did we talk about it live? I don't know.
I don't think it was live, but I'm drawing a blank.
Dallas.
No, it was live.
Was live? Dallas. So some people remember, right? Decided not to go into the play-in and tank, and that gave a black eye to the league. So Adam Silver said, you know what? We're going to make sure that 2 play-in teams make it to the championship. So you have the Lakers and the Miami Heat right now, 2 play-in teams who are poised and look like they're going to the conference finals of each of their divisions. The fix is in. That's why the refereeing was so bad last night. The fix is in. The Lakers and the Miami Heat in the NBA finals.
And now they could promote this play-in tournament.
The play-in. Get into the play-in.
It's the chance to win it all.
Get into the play-in. Anything can happen.
I mean, it makes sense though. It makes sense. That's what I'm gonna say. I wonder what they gonna do for this mid-season tournament now. They
right.
They gotta incentivize that too.
They're so mad at Dallas. Like you see, if you guys would have got the play-in, maybe you'd be where the Lakers are right now.
Yep.
So, two play-in teams in the championship. I can see it right now.
And then since we're doing conspiracies, we still getting that draft pick too.
Right.
they gonna drop to 11.
They're gonna drop to 11. Adam Silver's going to come out like, see, tanking doesn't do anything for you. If you can get in the play-in, get in the play-in. We had 2 play-in teams in the championship. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So that's the reason why the Knicks are getting beat by the Miami Heat, ladies and gentlemen. They're not out hustling us. They're not out rebounding us. They're not out shooting us. The fix is in.
They out roughing us. You know, it's funny too. After that game, too, that's all the Heat fans was talking about.
Yeah.
The referee.
Probably some Heat fans in here are gonna take what I'm saying to heart. Go back to, oh man, these Knicks fans get on my nerves. They're saying this and that.
So I'm gonna get out of here. I got
Yeah.
another one later tonight. I got Delusional coming on with me, so I'm gonna chop it up with him. Shout out to the chat, man. Appreciate you guys jumping in with me. And shout out to the Queen. I'm not sure. I think she said about 3 or 3:30. So Dope Soul Sports Talk. Make sure you check her out there. I should be there as well.
I don't think she's coming on until 9. Yeah,
9 now?
She's coming up at 7:30.
7:30? Okay.
Yeah.
So check that out tonight. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, son. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt,
I'm
man.
gonna do the the pregame with you again. You know, I thought that was gonna change the luck because I missed a couple. But I don't know, man. Now it's on the Knicks, man. They got to fight and scrap and show, you know, they want to go out with a fight. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Aunt D, I'll be on tomorrow, probably 2:30, somewhere around there. I'll be on tomorrow about 2:30. I don't think I'm going on. I don't know if I don't think I'm going on today because I got some work to do. Then I got workouts. Then when I come home, I mean, Steph will be on, so I'm not going to go on at the same time as Steph. So maybe when she gets off, maybe later on tonight, I might jump back on.
Yeah. Let me know. I'll be there with you.
All right. Sounds good.
Shout out to the chat, man. Your Blackest Time.